Kia ora koutou. I'm Centuri, and yeah, I'm going to talk to you tonight about the 501st Legion. Has anyone heard of the 501st Legion? Show of hands? Got a few there. Okay, cool. So by the end of it, you'll all be aware of what the Legion is about. Before I get into it, I'm going to take these gloves off. And actually, I'm missing a beer. I left my... Yeah, that's it. Thank you. If you're able to pass it up. Okay, give me a second. Get myself sorted. Should have been ready for this, shouldn't I? There we go. Okay, so before I get started, does anyone get confused between the difference in Star Wars and Star Trek? A show of hands, please. Okay, there's a few of you. I know it's a room full of nerds, so chances are everyone's pretty clued up, right? So for those of you who aren't quite familiar and always get them mixed up, and for those of you who are quite brave enough to put their hand up, I'm going to share with you the fundamental difference. Star Wars. The bad guys look fucking awesome, right? Check it out. How cool. Star Trek. The bad guys look like they've got giant raisins for heads. So there we go. Hopefully that clears things up. So what is the 501st Legion? Now this photo was taken in Pasadena in 2007. Now I joined the Legion in 2005. And I was lucky enough to attend this particular event alongside like 200 other Stormtroopers from around the world as part of the 501st. So I'm in the far back corner, and you might not be able to see it, but like front center is George Lucas, the original creator of Star Wars. It's pretty cool to be able to be a part of this event, to take part in this and be a part of this worldwide community. To explain how I got to this point, I'll take you the long way around. So this is Albin Johnson. He started the 501st Legion in 1997. Now, he originally wanted to wear a Stormtrooper costume to a Star Wars premiere event. Back then it was the special edition of Star Wars. And he put together a pretty authentic looking Stormtrooper costume. He went along and turned a lot of heads, and then he realised that a lot of people were in the same boat. They wanted to create costumes that were pretty authentic looking and looked like they'd just walked off the movie screen. He then gathered those people around his hometown, and then that quickly spread worldwide. It became a worldwide movement, and the 501st Legion was born. The 501st, the name comes from, Albin's head. He wanted it to have a military kind of name, and then in a way that's kind of influenced the structure and the organisational structure of the Legion. So around the world we've got garrisons and outposts around the world in different regions. So I want to delve into what it takes to become a member. Now you might think, grab a costume off eBay perhaps and put on a black undersuit and away you go. But it's not quite as simple as that. There's quite a process when it comes to joining up as part of the 501st Legion. First of all, there's so many costumes. The costumes are based around the bad guys of Star Wars, and that's simply because, as I mentioned before, they look fucking awesome, right? So let's dig a little bit deeper. This is the standard Stormtrooper, and pretty recognizable, probably one of the most recognizable costumes in Star Wars. When you think about it, there's quite a few components, and it's not as easy as just buying a suit and saying, I'm a member of the 501st Legion. Because as part of the Legion's CRL, Costume Reference Library, there are 24 different versions of the Stormtrooper based on how it's viewed in different films or different cartoon series or different TV series. So that's the first challenge. And then we come to the fact that the Stormtrooper from A New Hope, which is, the very first Star Wars film, has two different versions. They look pretty identical, but when you dig deeper, it shows that the first one is called the hero costume, the second one is called the stunt. Anyone know the difference? Hands up. All right. Okay, we've got a few. So to explain, the hero version is the one that Han Solo and Luke Skywalker wore when they were infiltrating the Death Star, right? And then the stunt version is the one that all the other Stormtroopers wore. So there are differences in those costumes because the two hero costumes in the film were, had close-ups and things like that. So they had to have a lot more detail. So we're getting to the nitty-gritty now. We're going to go one step further. Costume Reference Library. So those that are interested in joining up in the 501st will be faced with this. It's like, so I want to do a Stormtrooper costume. I'm going to have a look at the Costume Reference Library on the 501st Legion website. And this tells me all the requirements just for the helmet alone. So I don't expect you to read that, and there's quite a few things there, but as you can see, there's a lot of minute details there. Let's go one layer further. So one of these points, read it from here. The tube stripes are medium blue and include 11 or 13 per side, but can be between 9 and 16 per side, with the curve bends extending backwards. Is anyone lost? Cool. So there's a lot of detail, and as you can imagine, when you've got a fan group like the 501st Legion, people get really, really finicky about the minutest details, to the point where there are actually two levels of approval. There's a standard membership, but then there's also an elite membership for each costume, because that's for those that want to get more and more into the details and get finer details correct and just right based on what it looks like in the film. So, my last point is, the very last point on that list is about the helmet again, and it explains that basically you can't just buy a helmet or a costume off the shelf and expect that it's going to be approved by the 501st Legion. So there are lots of commercially available costume elements, such as the helmet, which is a collectible. People will buy those things and put them on a shelf. But chances are those will not be approved by the 501st Legion, simply because there are seam lines in certain places or the size might not be quite right. So again, it goes to show how much detail needs to be considered when putting a costume together for the 501st Legion. That's a no-go. And then we've got other costumes like Darth Vader. So when it comes to selecting a costume, costumes like Darth Vader naturally, people like taller people, I suppose, naturally gravitate to costumes like Vader because obviously they would suit that better. The costume on your far right is, or the second one from the right, is a Royal Guard. Now, the difference between costumes such as this and costumes like the Royal Guard, the red guy there, is that those costumes are quite flexible. There's a lot of fabric, so when it comes to attending events where there's children, those are very handy when you can actually get down to the level of a child and down to their eye level to get one-on-one with them. So all of those things are considered when someone wants to choose a particular costume to create. So coming out of that rabbit hole, the 501st Legion is a worldwide organisation, as I said, and this map here shows what the spread is of all the units around the Asia-Pacific region. So as you can see, there's quite a big spread. The garrison, the Legion is actually split up into units called garrisons and outposts. Again, it's got that kind of military-sounding feel to it. There are 12,883 members worldwide, and there are over 100 garrisons in 69 different countries. There are 16 detachments, and a detachment is a subgroup of the 501st, which is based around a specific costume. So my costume is a scout trooper, and I'm part of a detachment called the Pathfinders, and there are different groups based on all the different costumes. Within New Zealand, New Zealand's garrison is called Outpost 42, and we've got 59 active members, which isn't a lot, spread right across the country. Sometimes we'll get together in certain places for larger events. And it's fair to mention the Rebel Legion at this point, because this is the sister organisation of the 501st. They came about in 2000 because people wanted to dress up like Jedi and, the good guys of the Star Wars universe. So we've got Jedi Knights, we've got Rebel pilots, Starfighter pilots that will all be members of the Rebel Legion, and quite often the Rebel Legion will collaborate with the 501st Legion and attend events in tandem. So the things that I am quite passionate about as a member of the 501st is the charity aspect, and there's an agreement with Lucasfilm and Disney and the Star Wars franchise, which means that the 501st operates as a not-for-profit organisation. The charity side means that we do a lot of events. We don't get paid for attending events, but instead we'll ask for a donation to be made towards a charity, either of the choice of who's hiring us, or up to us to decide on which charity that might be. We love photos, so naturally people were like, "Oh, can I have a photo with you?" And chances are, if we're attending like a large-scale event, we'll have donation buckets, and quite often we'll just ask for a gold coin donation for a photo, and people are happy to oblige. So it's great that we're able to give back to the community. The other thing I love about it is the creative side. I'm a big model builder, so my passion is actually creating the costumes. Can I ask anyone, does anyone recognise this particular object? It's a little bit obscure. Yes, we have one hand. Boba Fett's backpack. Well done. Good job. So the backpack of Boba Fett, again, one of those details that 501st members will hone in on and get right. So this is a project that I worked on years and years ago. Basically made it out of cardboard, strips of cardboard and PVC pipe. So it goes to show that a lot of time and effort goes into producing and creating these costumes from scratch. Some of the costume elements are kit sets, so there'll be dedicated makers across the world who will make specific components for certain costumes. And we can be creative at events as well. There are some events which are considered, they're called non-canon, which means they're less serious. This is the Million Paws Walkover in Melbourne, and I decided that I would modify my costume to fit in with the locals, so it was good fun. And of course, the community aspect is such a strong thing. It's nice to be able to, give back, help out the community in whatever way we can. A lot of the events we do are based around children's charities and things like that. We've done hospital visits, and they're very rewarding. Being able to visit sick kids in hospital and just put a smile on their face is just priceless. So it's really enjoyable. And the network is worldwide. So this takes us back to Pasadena in California. So the story behind this photo and the photo earlier was that me and 3 other Kiwis were actually invited to California to take part in the Rose Parade. And for those of you who are familiar with the Rose Parade, it's a massive event that leads up to the Rose Bowl football game. And this particular event was the Star Wars Spectacular, where George Lucas was the Grand Marshal. So it was a pretty cool event to be invited to take part in, and it's great to be able to go to events all across the world and meet like-minded fans to be able to do things like that. But at the same time, events like that aside, I think the thing that I'm most passionate about is the community aspect and being able to be involved in raising money for charities and giving back. So I think for me, as much as I'm a massive Star Wars fan, the biggest thing for me, I think, is attending events where you can actually make a difference. So that's probably the primary reason why I love being in the 501st Legion. So thank you very much. That's a bit of an insight into the 501st, and now it's questions. Yes?
Yep, we have 2 microphones, so raise your hand if you have any questions.
Where are you building the Death Star?
So the Death Star is being built in an undisclosed location. You'll find out when it reaches full capacity. Yeah.
Do you consider yourselves cosplayers, and how do you sit amongst the rest of the cosplay community?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because there's a certain number of members who think they're sort of that next level above cosplaying, but at the same time, I like to think that all cosplayers have, an equal right and an equal, reason to dress up and enjoy it themselves. So it depends on the individual, I guess. So yeah. Does that answer your question? Personally, I'm a cosplayer. Yeah.
Any? Oh, yeah.
How many different costumes do you have?
How many costumes do I have? I've only got 2. One of them is retired. Now that means that it's no longer approved as part of the 501st, but I can still wear it to non-official events. I did once upon a time have 3, but I wasn't wearing them enough, so I decided to sell it and let someone else have the enjoyment of wearing it. So yeah, that's it's not a cheap exercise to put together a costume, so it's a bit of an investment.
Because you're in such covered armour, do you get people who are different, diversity amongst your members?
Yeah, there is. Obviously, it's a worldwide organisation, but at the same time, when it comes to membership, there's no discrimination. So, size does not matter. Obviously, it depends on how the costume fits you as well. But those are all things that are considered by the membership officers who look at all the different ways that a costume fits that particular person. So male, female, they all have the same opportunities within the 501st, and yeah, all types of people are included.
Thank you so much, Centuri. Another round of applause.
Thank you.